Now, of course, a lot of us love Star Wars.
No.
We have been eating up The Mandalorian, season 1, season 2. We've all been watching Boba Fett. Sometimes happy with Boba Fett, sometimes not so happy with Boba Fett. Still, the jury's still out about whether it even should have been called Boba Fett, but we'll find that out in just a bit. But one thing that most of us can agree on is that one of the characters that was brought in to Mandalorian and that we have now seen in Boba Fett is the character of Cobb Vanth, played by Timothy Olyphant. And a lot of people really like this character. An awful lot. You know who else likes the character? The guy who originally came up with him. And a lot of people may not realize this, but Cobb Vanth did not come to be in The Mandalorian. He actually came to be in the Aftermath novels. And I often forget how to properly pronounce his name, but it's Chuck Wendig, I believe is how you say his name. So Chuck Wendig, who wrote the Aftermath stuff and was actually the first one to create Cobb Vanth. Apparently, he's a little bit upset that in the credits of these Star Wars shows, they have not credited him at all. Not so much as a special thanks for creating what has become kind of a crowd favorite character. Now, this is what he wrote on social media. He wrote this. A little sarcasm here, by the way. I always dig it when big media properties have a special thanks for the writers and creators who contributed to their worlds and stories. And it's a bummer when they don't do that. And I bring this up for absolutely no reason, and I will almost certainly delete this tweet. So this is clearly Chuck, the creator of the Cobb Vanth characters, taking a not so veiled shot over at Disney and Disney Plus and Lucasfilm and John Favreau and Dave Filoni and everybody else who has been putting this show together and using these characters, saying, hey, I'm the one who came up with this character. How come there's no special thanks to me? A little bit of a special thank you to the creator? Like, nothing. And he's a little bit upset about it and now taking his beef public. Now, look, you guys, if you watch me for any period of time, there is something I really don't like about, creators and whatever taking their beefs public. To me, that's Bush League. The way grown-ups handle things, if you got a problem with somebody, you get on the phone with them. You talk it out. You figure it out. And if you can't figure it out and work it out, well, then you get lawyers involved or do whatever. But I've never liked the idea. And that's one of the real bad things about online. Like when different Instagram influencers or TikTok influencers or YouTubers or whatever, they instantly take their fight online and make it a big public spectacle. And it's like, okay, fucking, we're back in grade 2. This is such bullshit. Nobody's a grown-up anymore. But that being said, Chuck felt slighted, decided to get on the old tweeters and remind everybody that, hey, I created Cobb Vanth. It raises the question. Does he have a point? Is he justified in feeling slighted, so slighted that he would hop on social media and make his grievances public? And I'm a little bit torn on this because here's my thought. And I'll tell you right now, this is not going to be the popular opinion right now, because I am clearly never afraid to have the unpopular opinion. But I'm of two minds. On the one hand, it's like, hey, Lucasfilm, Disney, Favreau, Filoni. How much effort does it take to say, in those credits that roll, you don't even have to give it its own dedicated screen. Just on one of the screens with 1,000 other names, how much energy and effort does it take to put in a line that says special thanks to, Bobo, the boba-making chef who brings us our boba. I don't drink boba, and my wife Ann loves boba, so I'm saying boba a lot. But special thanks to Bobo the boba maker who brings us our boba, and to Chuck Wendig for, you don't even have to say why, just special thanks. How much effort does that take? No effort. How much money does that cost Lucasfilm and Disney to put that in? Costs no money. It's easy breezy. No problem. Just put it in there. Now I get it if maybe they didn't think about it, which then makes me wonder, hey, Chuck, why don't you just write an email to somebody at Lucasfilm and say, hey, could you maybe put this in one of the last couple of episodes? At any rate. So on the one hand, I feel like, why not put that in? It's easy and it's free. On the other hand, and this is where my opinion becomes unpopular, they were under no obligation to put him in the credits. I mean, Cobb Vanth belongs to them. He doesn't own it. He was paid for writing those books. They own the character. They're under no obligation to put it in there. And yeah, maybe it would have been nice if they did. But is Chuck Wendig justified in trying to cause a public spat over the fact that he didn't have his name? Because let's be honest with you. It would have been one thing, Rob, if Cobb Vanth became a popular and beloved character based on the Aftermath novels. He didn't. He didn't. I know a number of people who read the Aftermath novels, and when Cobb Vanth showed up in Mandalorian, they still didn't even realize it was the guy who was in the book. So, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I feel a little bit torn. Rob, as a lifelong creator yourself, I'm sure you have a perspective on this. What do you make of this?
Well, I think, the precedent that Disney has is Marvel. At the end of all those Marvel movies, there is a list of creators that have played key roles in the creation of the characters that are in the movie that we just watched. They were under no obligation to do it. I'm sure that there was precedent. Marv Wolfman got a little upset in Blade when the first Blade movie came out and he wasn't credited as the creator of Blade. So I think, like you said, John, your first point, it costs no money. It is, it's something that they can do. It takes very little time. And I think, why not? Why shouldn't they keep, there's a lot of creators, a lot of these characters now, since they're drawing on the animated series, they're drawing on novels, they're drawing on the EU. I think that they should make it as a point of policy to recognize the creators of these characters. And even in Marvel movies, they'll have like Jim Starlin will be in a cameo role, the creator of Thanos, so I mean, at your own studio, they've set a nice precedent. You know what? It goes a long way. Putting someone's special thanks or their name in the credits of a movie really costs nothing, but it creates goodwill that can really help you out in the long run. So I'm a big fan of doing that. I think that Marvel has done a great job of doing that, and why shouldn't Disney?
Or, Chuck could have sent a super chat.
Yeah. Could have got that done. I mean, look, you're right, but at the same time, they are under no obligation.
Yeah,
to
you're
do
correct
it.
about that.
I mean, right? Like he has no legal right. He doesn't have to be credited as this. And then, I don't know, then who, maybe once you start going down that path, and this is a slippery slope argument, so it's tedious at best. But I'm just saying, once you start going down that path, well, then who else should get credit? Should then Chuck Wendig, if he was influenced to create this character by some other people, do they deserve to be in the credits?
No, because I think a writer who creates characters, they created that character, and they might be. I mean, you could say Cobb Vanth was influenced by The Man with No Name or something like Boba Fett was. I don't think that influences count. It's that heady, frothy mix that a creator uses to create whatever that character is. And I think in the case, in Chuck Wendig's case, they probably want to keep him to write more Star Wars novels. So why not? Why not just give him? I mean, you know what? That's what people should do for their creators. There's nothing wrong in acknowledging the good work people do. As a matter of fact, I think it creates goodwill that you can't pay for.
So I think we're kind of on the same page here, that we're both kind of the mind that why not?
Yeah.
But I think, are we also both agreeing that they don't have to?
No,
like,
you're absolutely right. There's no obligation. But you know what?
But it'd be nice.
When you're working with creative people, they want acknowledgement for their creation.
Right.
That's their value. That's their worth. And Marvel certainly does it. Of course, Marvel does everything better than Disney Star Wars.
Also, when people are hired to write just for that, to create these things, and they happen to create someone, is that something that they usually give credit for if they were just hired to do one specific thing?
The author of a novel is the author of a novel, and their name's on it. It's not like Disney, when they ask somebody to write a novel, they don't say from Walt Disney. Chuck Wendig,
the writer. Yeah. I think point. That's a really good point. Yeah.
I think someone in the chat pointed out, I don't know, I forgot what they said. They said paid for hire or
Work for hire.
Work for hire.
Yep. Work
So
for
in
hire.
those cases, do they usually give those if they happen to create a character?
Well, I mean, that's been a big question in a lot of the comic book movies, because a lot of things in the comic book movies is for a long time. Like there have been like I remember Black Panther was a big issue because there was a number, there have been many people who have worked on as an artist and as a writer on the character of Black Panther a lot over the years. And there was a little bit of a story a while ago that, we didn't see any of them getting any credit in the movies. We've had the same thing with other comic book characters as well, and we've seen that transfer over to Star Wars. Now, if we found out that Chuck never even once reached out to anybody at Disney to ask him about it and just decided to go public, see, that to me seems maybe, but if he did give them a call and they refused to do it, I don't know, maybe then you do get on Twitter.
But Marvel has been doing it. At the end of those movies.
It took them a while, though.
It
took them a while.
It did, but I think it's it's just a good, as a matter of policy, if you're going to work in these IPs, I mean, what I find really distressing is as the studios become more and more creatively bankrupt and they're going back and they're utilizing characters that were created. I mean, you look at the upcoming Star Trek series, Strange New Worlds. They've gone back. They've got Lieutenant Uhura, who's now a cadet. You've got Number One. You've got Nurse Chapel. You've got Dr. Mbenga. You've got Captain Pike. You've got Spock. And you've got Number One. And it's like, those are like 8 characters that were created by different people. Do those people get credited? Just say based on Star Trek, but they're now dipping into these characters that have been around, legacy characters, for a long time. And I think it's going to become more of an issue in the future.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Do you think that Chuck's got good grounds for hopping on Twitter and publicly complaining about this? Do you think maybe he shouldn't have at all? Do you think it would have been nice if they put his name in there, but they didn't, so no big deal? Whatever you guys think about this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.